Well, welcome to The Edge. Alex, my good cameraman, he's going to have a little task tonight, but I'll show you some political commentary I did some time ago. And some time ago was illustrated with this particular cartoon. This is, I'll hold it up because it's loose, the picture of Florida. And the cartoon says 2020. This cartoon was done in 1989. It's called Blacktop and Beaches. Now, why do you suppose I did that? The progress of Florida, or if you want to call it that, of overbuilding, will require the state to build more roads and not do trains, because trains reduce traffic. More traffic means more oil spent and more people crowding and more cars purchased. And so what are they proposing right now in the state legislature? 2 new toll roads in the state of Florida going north and south, so that they can send people on those roads for tolls in ordinary times and in hurricane times. In hurricane times, they'll put the thing one way and the people will be able to leave. Unless, of course, along the way a car breaks down or runs out of gas, or maybe 2 or 3 do that. And suddenly that very flashy road moving of people, one car by one car, instead of by train, will be a blocked up mess in the middle of a hurricane. And that is exactly what they had in the last several years in these hurricane lockdowns. And that's what's going to happen. Florida's going to do it to itself and not do the rail that they need to do. Although, I'm trying to think, the Virgin Airlines is building a rail from Miami to Orlando. It's getting close to finish. It runs 80 miles an hour, and it'll be used to get people out of the hurricane problems into Orlando, which is in the center of the state, out of Miami, which is at the bottom of the state. So to make people's lives saved in that time, so they all don't have to stay in a lockdown, especially now with the coronavirus. Think about this. If we get an early hurricane and it's in the fall of the year, the virus is supposed to spring back again as the weather cools. The hotter the weather, generally speaking, the fresh air, sunlight kills the virus. So now we've got a transportation problem and a compact living problem. Lots of people crammed into hurricane centers. This bad planning by not very smart people who just see the money of the developers who are building along I-75 all the way up on either side, and that was Governor Scott's idea. Don't let the rail come in. Build alongside the interstate highway system and make that our sole purpose. That was Governor Scott. He now is a Senator Scott. And DeSantis, the current governor, is going all in on these toll roads. So we really have bad leadership here on these particular points. There's things you can like about a governor this way or that way, but there's not much that you can really say that Mr. Scott was very good at. He blocked the rail that was going to go to Miami, it was going to go Orlando to Tampa, which that is the I-75 there, or I-4 is a parking lot most of the time. People can't get out of it. They can't wait to get out of it. So that is this cartoon predicting all this. Blacktop and Beaches, this was done in 1989, and that would have been in actually January of 1989. The title, Blacktop and Beaches, Florida 2020. And here we are, Florida 2020. It's going to happen. Let's see, we'll go through some of these others. Here's one that's kind of old but new, and this is called the Free Choice Clinic. It's the Dr. Clothes Hanger, MD. And then you enter here, this girl is pregnant. She's the long dark shadow. It says death rate from self-abortion using a clothes hanger or some bad doctor. And so you go in that door, and that's death's door. And so this was done also in that same 1989 period. And so you have people, poor people, who can't get abortions. Well, let's talk about abortions a bit. I'm a pro-life person. And what I believe in abortion is that a child under a certain age, impregnated, should be allowed to have an abortion. Father shouldn't decide for sure. Who knows, he may have gotten her pregnant. You have no idea. And the mother will protect that, pretend that she doesn't like having sex with her husband. Anyway, so have it with our daughter. And then she gets pregnant. Now they can say, you have to have the baby because we're very good Christian people. You have the baby and then we'll adopt it out. so you don't have any intention of keeping the baby. You want to give it to someone through adoption. Noble, if you can find someone like that. If it's a black baby, there's not big demand for black babies. White baby, more so. People without money, without jobs are not going to adopt, especially in these coronavirus times. But when you have bad economic times, adopted babies become an impossibility. What makes me pro-life, and the so-called pro-life people really those people are pro-birth. They don't give a damn about educating the child past birth. They don't give a damn about the life of the child past birth. They don't take them through education. They don't take them through anything. They just talk about, we think it's murder, and we really think that's horrible, and we are good people. I say bullshit to that. That's dishonest, hypocritical people who pretend morality and don't carry it out. If you don't take that child through education that you want brought to life, then you are not pro-life. You are only pro-birth. So stop saying you're pro-life. Take it off your bumper sticker, peel it off, and throw it away. It's worthless. That's my sort of view on abortion. Let's see. I can talk about this one a little bit. You took a picture of it and you got it in your thing. This is Mario, wherefore art thou? This is Mario Cuomo, Governor Mario Cuomo. He's now dead. And his son, Andrew Cuomo, is the current governor who's making a real display of what leadership is right now over this coronavirus thing. But at that time, he had a bit of a criminal background in the family, mafia, people like that. And he was afraid that would come out and embarrass his whole family, so he refused. He changed his mind about running for the longest time. So the title is, "O Mario, wherefore art thou?" And are you going to make up your decision? This other one up on top, you didn't take a picture of this one. It's kind of when McDonald's went into Moscow. This one here, I'll take a picture of it if you like. And it says Big Mac attack. The wings on the McDonald's burger, and Moscow opening up. And here's a little McDonald's shop in the cartoon. And these were auctioned off at the virtual Kennedy King dinner for the Democratic Party. They came out and took pictures, and they were selling these for $1.25, $125 each. And of course, if you want copies, I'll sign copies of these, and you can send me a $125 check if you like, or my friend Alex, either one. Now this one, these two here are cartoons that one is about Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan in the middle of the Mediterranean. It's called Mediterranean Crossing, and you see the waves and everything else, and you see the sun. But here you see these hand clasping, and each in the hand clasping, their fingers are crossed, whether they're going to have an agreement or not. And that's why I called it Mediterranean Crossing. This one over here is about a character who was on my radio show when I had it, Ollie North. He was involved in Iran-Contra. He got immunity from testifying to Congress, so they couldn't put him in jail for lying to Congress. And he lied to Congress because he was doing drug dealing from Iran to Nicaragua, 4 guns to give to the Nicaraguans so they could fight against the liberal government of Nicaragua. And he was involved, and he lied and he said he didn't do it. And so he's on record. This cartoon here is this is Louis Farrakhan, and this is Rush Limbaugh. And I call this birds of a feather because they're both hate builder people. They're people who promote hate on either side. Divide and separate, divide and separate. You liberals over here, conservatives, virtuous conservatives over here, conservatives always better. Farrakhan saying, the white man should die, the white man should die. Separate the white man. Limbaugh did that too, separate the blacks, arrest them, jail them. Nancy Reagan's right. You do pot, you go to jail, you deserve it, whether you sell it or you don't sell it. Nixon, however, which is in this cartoon here with Ronald Reagan, and the commentary here in the cartoon is, Dick, what did you do about yours? Because at that time, Ronald Reagan was lying about a number of things. Politicians have a tendency to do that. And so I used the cartoon to point that out. And Nixon always looks kind of glum because he lied a lot. He got forced out of office in the early part of his second term. And Reagan danced through 8 years. But in his first bout in office, first thing he did is he cut the tax rate down to 28% from 70%. So that's the point to note. That was 1980. This country, between 1935 and 1980, that's a 45-year period. What did we do in that period? In 1935, we were in the middle of a big depression. And who changed that? FDR. What did he do? He said, we're going shovels and rakes and everything else. We're going to build railroad, we're going to build bridges, we're going to rebuild this country. And by the way, we'll start the interstate highway system in Oklahoma. Later on, Dwight Eisenhower, a Republican, finished the job all over the country. But he started it. And then what had happened? World War II came along and everybody went to work for the war effort. Everybody had a job. And the depression went away. Money was spent on people working for the government. Everybody worked for the government. It was totally socialistic, paying people to work. Now they're paying people to sit at home to avoid the coronavirus. And the jobs are still going to be needed to be filled if they fill, but I think it's a real question mark if the jobs will be lost and the corporations that had them will be lost. In Europe right now, the Europeans are paying the corporations and the companies, and small ones and large ones, to keep their people working with a paycheck coming from the company, so they don't lose track of their people. They can easily set up to work again. We should be doing it that way. We're not. We're just sending chunks of money out to people randomly, and some people are getting it and some people aren't. $1,200 for a couple per person, and $2,400 for a couple. So we're doing it that way. Now we'll move to another page here. And this is did I show you the one already with the woman seeking? I did the one on the abortion thing, didn't I? Yeah, I did that. So we'll move back. So here's the one. Here's an interesting cartoon. This one's about the Iran hostage taking in 1979. And if you look closely, these heads, these hooded heads, are like teeth. And up here on top, you can see the top of the mouth of the heat. So in the mouth of the dragon, it's called rate of exchange. This is trading money for hostages. And that's what Reagan did. Reagan got the Iranians to hold off on releasing hostages until after the election, so that the burden of why they were in the mess would fall only on Jimmy Carter. And so Carter lost and Reagan won. Here's one that's kind of today also. And it says, as you see, if you've flown in a plane, you see this little sign that says, pull down for oxygen. What does that say? It says, lack of oxygen occurs, place mask on face. So appropriate, so appropriate. Everybody running around to avoid somebody coughing on somebody. Now we're trying to seek oxygen just to friggin' live. What's the problem? All the forest trees are cut to nothing. The trees provide oxygen. And the Amazon right now is being burnt. So what for? To grow crops, to get the crop contracts from China for Brazil, in particular, to take it away from the United States in the middle of the country. So, anyhow, I think
that's it. We got to close it. You got to say goodbye.
To the end. We did the. We're at a terminating point.
Here, put this back.
Okay.
And open it up. No, open it up. And then act like you're closing it. Like close it.
Okay.
Like when I film you, you're gonna close it and then do your closing statement.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a closed book. Ready? No, open it up.
Okay.
1, 2. Okay.
So this is a period of about 6 years of working for 2 newspapers. One was called The Gondolier in Venice. It's still there. I worked for them for about 3 years, and I worked for about 3 years, actually 4 years, on the Pelican Press, which no longer exists. The funny thing about the Pelican Press, at the time was that the owner was a very conservative guy, John Davison. So they told me, I don't have the cartoon, I wish I did, do a cartoon about him. So I showed a bunch of pelicans sitting in a group. In the middle of the pelicans was a pelican with eyeglasses on. I made it resemble him. He went nuts for that. And even though my other stuff was controversial, he loved my stuff and kept me on. Then I lost the job later on, but it was a good thing. I did an interview with the New York Times, and the New York Times loved this stuff. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about something that I actually see somebody doing ideas and cartoons and so forth. So for the audience out there, know one thing. I've had a broad experience, 12 years of radio and television, and 6 years of political cartooning. And I've done a number of things otherwise than that. We can talk about that down the road. I haven't done everything. I don't know everything. I know a lot. I can do a lot. I can speak to a lot. And know much, and not much more to the credit of my friend Alex Solis. Thank you so much, Alex, for this opportunity, for your production and what you do.